Hello, greetings students. In this video you will be learning how to create your simple title block template in AutoCAD. This is applicable for those who will be sitting their CSEC technical drawing exam or CAPE BMed exam. The title block template that you'll be creating will be for a tabloid sheet. So I hope that you have your computer and you're ready to follow step by step and hopefully perfect this procedure and even share it with other classmates or peers who may need it. Alright, so let's go. The first thing you're going to do is open a new model space. Once your new model space is open, we're going to now set our units and our limits. So first, to set the units, we can type in UN and press enter. Our insertion scale, we're going to go right here. Ensure that the units is set to millimeters. We're going to set the precision to 0.0 and then click OK. Then we're going to type in limits. To specify the lower left corner, we're going to put in 0, 0, then enter. And for the upper right corner, we're going to put in 20,000, 15,000, and then enter. Before we start the drawing, we're going to establish two things. We're going to set up our dimensions and our layers, but first let's do our layers. We're going to be using the 0 layer. That's the default layer for most of the drawing because we're just doing the title block after all. But let's set one layer for text and another layer for dimensions. For the text layer, I'm going to change the color to something that's easily readable, blue. Dimensions, I'm going to make that red. You can make it any color you desire, but just so that the different elements of the drawing is distinguishable, I have these two layers. And again, just for the title block, I'll just need the text and the dimension differently. And actually, when I think about it, for the title block, the text will be the same color as, say, the border of the paper, so I don't necessarily need to change this. So I'll just keep it for white, but if I see the need to change it, then I'll let you know. Alright, now we're gonna click on the annotation tab here. We're gonna go to the dimension style, or we could simply type in dim style, that is DIMSTYLE. But we're gonna go to manage dimension styles. We're gonna click on new, and what we're gonna call this, we're gonna call this millimeters dim style. That's either way, we have the new dimension style open, and now we're going to do our different modifications. Now what we're going to do is, we have lines here. We can allow the lines to stay as is. Where symbols and arrow is, we're going to set our arrow size to 2.5. It's an appropriate size. We're going to also set the center line marks at 2.5. Where text is, we're going to set our text height to 2.5. We're going to set our text height to 5 actually in this case. Ensure our text alignment is aligned with the dimension line. and where it says primary units, we're setting our precision to 0.0. Decimal separator should be back with a 0, and we don't need alternate units right now, but this would be like, say we're drawing in millimeters and we'd want to display like feet and inches, but we don't need it, so I'm going to click this off. But going back to text, I'm going to change the text height from 5 to 2.5. As you can see in the preview to the right, it looks more appropriate to have the text at that height. So these are our settings for the dimension style, and we're going to set this as current and close. Then I'm going to set the text style, and in the text style I'm just going to go to new. I'm going to put in 10mm text style. Okay. The font, you can make the font any font that you desire, as long as it's appropriate and easily readable. The text height here will be 10mm, however, and I'll just keep the font style as regular. I press apply and set current and close. Alright, now we're ready to start drawing. The first thing we're going to do is draw the boundary of the paper space, and again we're going to be creating the border and title block template for a tabloid paper. Now I've converted the tabloid paper dimensions to I've converted the title block dimensions to millimeters. That's from inches to millimeters, and the tabloid paper is typically 11 inches by 17 inches length times width. So we're going to go to line, activate our ortho mode, and first I'm going to be drawing the length. Now the typical, not the typical, because this is set, the conversion of 17 inches to millimeters is 431.8. So I'm going to type in 431.8 and press enter, and I'm going to go down 11 inches or 279.4 millimeters and press enter. Move to the left 431.8 again, and then go up 279.4. either way I'd still end up here, and I have my rectangle representing the tabloid paper. Now there's a step that I forgot or neglected to mention before we started the drawing of the rectangle. In order for all my lines to be straight or perfectly horizontal and vertical, I activated a particular feature called ortho mode. Ortho mode can be activated using F8, and by using this feature I was able to draw all the lines perfectly. Without ortho mode being on, this is how your lines would look when you're ready to draw. It would be hard for you to establish that 0-degree plane or the 90-degree plane. However, when you have ortho mode on, it's easy for you to draw the lines perfectly horizontal or perfectly vertical with barely any issues. So before you draw the rectangle, ortho mode will help you to draw those lines. Alright, now that we have our rectangle, what we're going to do is join the lines together. So we're going to highlight these lines and then type in the command join, or as you can see the shortcut is J, You can press enter, and because I already had these lines highlighted, now everything is connected into one polyline. That's like one continuous line which forms a shape, right? Now that all of this is connected, I can now offset these lines to create the border. The offset command can be identified up here, right? That's the offset command. So you can either click the offset button or you can type in the command O, the shortcut for offset, and press enter. Look in the command line, it says specify offset distance. We're going to use an offset distance of 15 millimeters and then press enter. It says select the object to offset. I'll select the rectangle, and then the offset is created 15 millimeters in, and I'll click off, left click, and now I have my border. Now that the inner border was created, I'm going to type in the command explode and explode, enter. It says select the objects. I'll select both rectangles and then press enter, and now all the different the two polylines or continuous lines which formed the two rectangles are now separate again. Now that I do it, I have the border, the paper boundary and the border. What I'm going to do now is offset this highlighted line 3 times up as the title block section, and the title block section will be 15 millimeters tall for each segment. So I'm going to go back to the offset command, O, enter. The offset distance is 15. I can press enter. I'll select this line, and then the first 15 millimeter line pops up. I'll just move my selection cursor up and then left click this line again, move up one more time, click, and for the final time I'll click. So now I have 3 sections here, 3 different sections for the title block. I'm going to go to my object snap settings. Notice where my mouse is. You can also activate this with F3, but we're going to specify that we want our cursor to snap to the midpoint easily. The midpoint will be represented by a triangle popping up on the line, and that is the midpoint of any line, or basically any line. For circles it would be quadrants, but we need the midpoint to divide the title block section from 3 segments into 6 segments for the 6 headings that you will need for your title block. So now when I activate the line command, which I can do by simply typing in L enter, I'm going to go find a midpoint, which as you can see is highlighted with the triangle. I'm going to carry a line down, and that now I have the 6 segments for the title block. The next thing I'm going to do now is to type in the text, the headings for each of these sections. As you can see, you have multi-line text and you have single line text. I'm going to start with single line text. It says specify the start point of the text. I've moved my cursor right here. This is specify the rotation of the text. I don't want the text to be rotated, so I'll type in 0, press enter, and then I'll start typing. Now the reason why it's easy for me to type here is because the text height would have already been specified as 10 with the text style that I created before, right? So the name is now there. And before I continue, I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to use the multi-line text style to show you the other way that you can type in your text. So you see specify first corner. This one expects you know to use like a box or a boundary in which you would type. So I specify the top corner. You see specify the opposite corner. I'll do it like say right here, and then you can start typing. Now the good thing with multi-line text is that more settings pop up while you're doing the multi-line text, and instead of typing in one straight line, you have the option of adjusting your text height up here. I already have 10. I have the option of setting any text style that I desire. I can bold my lines easily, change your font, all of that, and your justification, whether center, left, right, those type of things. For this section, for this title, I'm gonna put in center number. That represents your school's center number, and then here I can adjust this and then click it off, and that's it. Now you can hold on to this base point, right left click on this base point, and slightly adjust your title so that it fits. Let me double click here. I think what I did was that I accidentally pressed 0 instead of O, and that's why there is a difference there. In AutoCAD you will make mistakes at times, but it's good to catch on to those mistakes early before you reach too far. Another thing to note, seeing that this whole procedure is one that is done candidly, is that when I type in all caps the name and the center number, it takes up a lot of the space for each of the segments. So to ensure that all of your details will fit perfectly, what I'll do is that I'll capitalize the first letter for each word first, and then type the rest in lowercase letters. So as you can see, name, center number, there isn't really any complications where that is concerned, and there's more space to insert your crucial information. So now I'll just copy the name and the center number down twice. So I press the copy button, and it says the copy command, and it says specify the base point, and I've moved down 1 and 2, and now what I can do is I can just change the name for each of these. So this one will be school, click, and this one will be candidate number. Over here we'll have the date, and here we'll have the topic. So the 6 titles are now there and they're ready. So this is our title block in essence. Again, if you'd like to personalize it, you can change the font, you can bold your words, you can even change the line weight of your paper, of your border, you know, just to give it that little personal appeal, as long as it looks neat, appropriate, and the words are easy to read. So now that we have this, what we're going to now do is work on setting up our paper space, where we're going to transfer the title block to the paper space. So we've been drawing in the model tab, and we also have layout tabs, right? I'm going to go to layout 1 here, and layout 1, as you can see, the title block by default appears here. By default, the paper size that pops up in the layer in the layout tabs are in letter size, but we would like to have a tabloid size paper. Same goes for layout 2. What we're going to do is right click on layout 1, we're going to go to page setup manager, and then we're going to type in new, and this new page setup we're going to call it tabloid paper, and then press enter. Alright, so now that I've pressed enter, the first thing I'm going to do is to set up my printer or plotter. I'm going to find Microsoft Print to PDF. If you don't have Microsoft Print to PDF, you can select any other PDF printer, anything that enables PDF printing. Even AutoCAD has one as well. However, instead of finding tabloid, you're going to have to find the paper that says 11 by 17 inches right here. But for me, I'm just gonna use Microsoft Print to PDF because it's easier to just select tabloid, right? It says what to plot. I have the layouts here, so I'm gonna keep the layout. I'm gonna ensure my drawing orientation is in landscape, and over here where it says the plot style table or the pen assignments, this has to basically do with your color scheme in which you'll be plotting. If you select none, if any of your layers are colored, it will basically be printed as such, right? But if you want to print in grayscale or monochrome mainly, you can select any of these, but for now I'll select none. So printer, paper size, what to plot, landscape, and then I'll just press OK, and I'll select set current. So we have our tabloid paper established, and I'll exit. Now what I'm going to do is copy the title block by base point. So I highlight the title block, right click and go to clipboard and press copy with base point. As you can see the shortcut there, Ctrl+Shift+C. It's good to practice these shortcuts so that you can move quicker and more efficiently in future drawings and future works, right? So copy with base point. The base point is highlighted because you had established a base point when creating the block. We're gonna click on that base point, move to layout one where the tabloid paper is, right click, go to clipboard, select paste as block, and as you can see the title block now shows up in basically the exact size as the paper. So you can zoom up and go to the corner and align your selection cursor with the corner of the paper and then click, and then you now have your title block there. Now what you need to do is save this as a template so that whenever you need this drawing you can use it at any given point in time, right? So where layout one is, we're going to right click and we're going to, I'm sorry, that's not what we're going to do. While we're on the layout tab, we're going to go to the application button where A, the big A is or the small a depending on which your AutoCAD you're using. You're gonna go to save as, and you're gonna save as drawing template. Once you save as drawing template, this template folder should pop up for you, and you're gonna go to sheet sets, and this is where you can save your title block. I already had one saved here, but I'm just going to rewrite one of the save files, tabloid title block, and you can add your name to it as well, and I'll press save. Yes, I'm going to replace it. I'll select OK, and that is it, right? So let's go to layout 2. With layout 2, as you can see, is letter size. We'll just leave that alone. Where the plus button is new layout, you're gonna right click there, go to from template, and this is where you can now open your title block with ease and insert it. So now as you can see, the title block is there ready for you to use. However, is that all? No. How will the title block be applicable in any of your drawings? In order for the title block and the border to be really applicable, it's important for you to add a viewport, and that viewport will be basically a viewport into your model space, right? So you go to the layout button up here, and as you can see, there's a tab here that says layout viewports. We're gonna go to the rectangular viewport because that's what we want. Select it, then you see a specify corner. I'm gonna go from the top left border to the bottom right, and then click, and as you can see, the title block now shows up, and that is the title block that we have here in the model space. Let's say I did a drawing within this title block amazingly, right? Just some random lines. It will show up here, and in the viewport you can double click down on your scroll button, and you can zoom in, zoom out, or set it any way that you desire. And to even be more technical or more specific, at some points you'll need to do certain drawings to a certain scale, and even if you do your drawing in a model space at a scale of 1:1, follow my mouse, even if you do your drawing in a scale of 1:1 here on the title block, once you have activated your viewport, you can set the scale that you want to be printed here. So whether it is 1:10, 1:20, even smaller, let's say 1:2, and 1:1, how would that look? It fits. So let's say 1:2 is okay, right? To save or plot any of your drawings now, you can right click here and go to plot. It will ask you if you would like to do batch plotting or plotting a single sheet. We're going to go to plot a single sheet, and because we already had a paper space set up, now we're going to ensure that we do Microsoft Print to PDF because we want to save our document as a PDF. Paper size is tabloid. What to plot? We can plot the layout, and we have landscape. Now, before you do any printing, it's always important for you to preview the printing before you start it. So we're going to go to the preview button to ensure that everything will fit neatly. So preview, as you can see, everything fits neatly. It is shown that the border for the paper is showing a little bit to the left, but that is minor. That's completely fine. So now that I know that my preview is okay, I can now go straight to printing, and I can press OK, and this is where you can save as, say, title block or whatever name you'd like. And this is your first sheet that you will have done in AutoCAD. So I open this and I say rotate. This is outside of AutoCAD now, by the way. This is outside of AutoCAD, so don't expect this. If you don't have Adobe PDF, you won't have this, right? But as you can see, this is the first sheet printed. The term in architecture that we use is plotting, and this is the PDF. So within the title block, whichever drawing that you do will be done within your title block. And I hope you all understood and you're all able to follow. I look forward to doing more tutorials with you.